Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Manojavam Marutatulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtham Vatatmajam Vanarayuta Mukhyam Shri Ramadutam Shirasa Namami Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Apadam Apahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame Cha Janakatmaja Purato Marutir Yasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam. Shri Hanumanji on top of Mount Mahendra, with his feet very strongly planted on the ground and his knees, his hands pressing down firmly as well, his head and neck raised, or head raised, his ears perked up and moved back, his breath very strongly held and filled in his lungs. He draws his stomach in and has gathered all the required, in Sanskrit it says sattva, which his entire existence, the power of his existence, vayu or prana, air. His intention very, very clear and strong, to be like the arrow released by Sri Ramachandra, and his vision gazing at the path that he's going to take, and his mind focused on the goal, and his heart fully in samadhi on the purpose. Ramartham Vanarartham, for the pleasure of, or for the benefit of Sri Ramachandra, and for the benefit of the Vanaras. So he is a devotee who is in full samadhi. And we discussed last week what samadhi looks like, what it means. Oftentimes, people have one or the other objectives or the intentions strong, the other can become a little weaker. Both need to be in place. Ramartham, Vanarartham. For some persons, they have a lot of faith and trust in God. They may not as much on the devotees. Of course, we're talking specifically pure devotees or acharyas. That doesn't mean that the devotees around us are not important. Of course, they too are. If they are sadhakas, then it's a different conversation. But in general, some people may have a lot of faith in other people, but they cannot see the presence of Rama, Sri Rama, in the picture. So there are only persons who see their guru as the ultimate, There are many movements like that, and sometimes within one's movement as well. The guru is the so superior that the Supreme Lord doesn't exist. So both together, Guru and Krishna, or we can say Guru and Sri Rama. However, in our Vaishnava understanding, and that's where the delicate handling or balance is, that our Vaishnava theology places the devotees on equal, perhaps even higher position than the Supreme Lord. And their position is because of their connection to the Supreme Lord. Outside of that, no. So with this full intention and samadhi, Hanumanji is ready to take off. So we are on verse 43. Eva muktva tu Hanuman vanaran vanarottamaha. Hanuman, who is the best of vanaras among the vanaras. So quite literally, he's the best of the monkeys among all the monkeys. Or he's the best monkey among all monkeys. But Valmiki is obviously, as we have understood, not just dealing with the externalities, but the internal meanings as well, because this is kavya, poetry. We discussed that Vanara means the great, great personalities who are superhuman, or they have done what is humanly unachievable, meaning the ordinary human being cannot achieve. That is their direct service for the Supreme Lord. Among them, Vanarottamaha, he is the best. Utpatatha vegena vegavan vicharayan. Utpapata means flew. Papata means to fall. Utpapata means to rise. And he rose vegena with such velocity. Vegavan vicharayan, like how Garuda would go. Suparnam eva chatmanam mene sa kapikunjaraha. He thought of himself as equal to Garuda. That was the velocity with which he took off from that position. So what Valmiki is doing is giving us a visual of the scene. Obviously, he's writing, so he's not making a movie out of it, but it is meant for us to fully visualize how Hanumanji took off. So in writing, he's drawing a picture. Samut patati tasmin astu vegatte nagarohinaha samhritya vitapan sarvan samutpetuhu samantataha. He rose into the sky with such force that the trees that were on the mountain just flew in all directions. But it's just not that the trees flew. He's saying each tree drew its branches closer to itself, to the trunk, and became one cluster. Each tree, if you ever noticed, if you've not, try that if a truck or a train moves at high speed, the debris that's on the ground, although the wind pushes things back, at the back of the train or truck, the wind curls and all the debris is drawn with that object, the truck or the train. So the trees, all their branches, the trees were spread out like this, all their branches came up together and they were just completely blown away. And Hanuman, as he was rising into the sky, Sa Matkatoyash Tibhakam Padapan Pushpashalinah. So when he was flying into the sky, because of how strong his thighs were, Udvahan Uruvegena Jagama Vimale Ambare. Vimale Ambare, in the clear sky. Jagama, Hanuman went, and his thighs were so strong that Udvahan, he uprooted big, massive trees that were Pushpashalitaha. They were filled with flowers. And the velocity of Hanuman with his thighs flapping was so strong that the trees also became stretched like a bird that is flying. But if you notice, its legs are very closely held to its body. Like that, the trees became very close. All the branches came close to each other. Uruvega sthita vriksha muhurtam kim muhurtam kapiman vayuhu prasthitham dirgham dadvan sambandham iva bandhavaha. Very, very nice analogy here. The trees got uprooted, and as Hanuman was flying, the trees were flying with him. And they came up to a distance, and from there, the trees fell off. And he says, just like when someone is going on a travel, one is about to begin travel, the relatives travel along up to a point and then they stop. So this is a very important cultural point, and it's there in many, many cultures, definitely in Vedic culture, that when a guest is leaving, then the relatives or the friends or whoever they are, they go up to a certain distance with them. So till they get into their car or till they get into their bus, people go up to the airport or to the bus station, train station, up to the gate till they get on the car. People follow along as if they are also traveling. Prasthitham dirgham adhvanam sambandham iva bandhava. As if they are, so the trees are also saying, oh, we will go with you. We will see you off. Then again he says, tam vegan mathitam shalaschanyeh nagottamaha anujagmaghur muhurtam sainyam iva mahipatim. So in all the verses, we are hearing Uruvegena, by the power of his thighs. When Hanuman pushed up into the sky, we're hearing the strength of his catapulting into the sky. Tam Uruvegena, by that force of his thighs, great Salaschanyeh Nagottamaha. Hanuman uprooted massive sal trees. You remember the sal tree reference. Of all the trees, he's referring to sal tree. One, because sal trees are very, very strong or strongly rooted. They cannot be easily shaken up. In a hurricane, many trees can fall, but sal trees don't fall so easily. They're very strong wood. And this sal reference is because at one point, when Sri Ramachandra and Sugriva met, Sugriva said, my brother Vali would shake a sal tree and all its leaves, the green leaves, would fall to the ground. Generally, it's very hard to pluck a green leaf. I mean, someone can say, I can pluck one leaf, sure. But the tree holds on to the leaf very strongly when it is green. Only when it dries up, it lets go. But Vali would shake a sal tree that all the green, thick leaves would fall to the ground. And so Sri Ramachandra said, all right, what would you like me to do? He said, can you shoot an arrow through a sal tree? And Ramachandra said, why one? And he shot through 7 sal trees. That arrow, after cutting through all the trees, such that all the leaves of the trees fell off, went into the ground, went all the way to Patala, and came back into his quiver. Then Sugriva said, oh, yes, you are very, very strong. I accept that you can help me face off with Vali. So sal tree, so someone who can shake or uproot a sal tree, then is considered very, very strong. And here Hanuman is not even touching the tree. He's just by flying into the air, by the power of his thighs, the great sal trees became uprooted. And how did they follow Hanuman? Earlier we thought, Valmiki said, like relatives follow their guest or friend when they are about to go on a travel expedition. And here he says, Sainya iva mahipatim. Like soldiers follow their king. Almost like in file, marching behind the king. Very beautiful analogies. Actually, this great poet Kalidasa, he is considered the king of similes. But Kalidasa took it from Valmiki. It seems Kalidasa studied Valmiki Ramayana 54 times before he started writing his own poetry. Because every simile, every metaphor is so exquisite that it takes fantastic imagination and drawing a visual picture simply by words. And then he says, the great Hanuman, Parvatakaraha, he appeared like a big mountain. And previously we heard that when Hanuman was pressing down on the mountain, all the trees were shaking and the flowers had fallen to the ground and the mountain looked like a mountain of flowers. Now, when Hanuman is flying, the trees are also offering their flowers to Hanuman, and Hanuman's body became covered with those flowers, and now he appeared like a mountain filled with flowers. Then these great trees that were uprooted and flew along with Hanuman fell into the ocean, as if mountains fell into the ocean out of fear of Indra. So Puranas tell us a story that at one point in time, the mountains had wings and they could go from one place to another. Although in Bhagavad Gita, we hear Krishna says, Thavaranam aham Himalaya. Among all the immovable objects, I am the Himalayas. So before they became immovable, apparently mountains could move. They had wings. And as they moved from one place to another, they were crushing people and agricultural land and everything that people had. So Indra took on this project to cut off the wings of the mountains. So they become sthavara. And when Indra was firing his thunderbolt to cut off the wings of these mountains, the mountains ran or flew out of fear. So here the analogy is the trees were sinking into the ocean out of like the mountains afraid of Indra, which means they were falling with a big splash into the ocean. Sa nana kusumaihi kirnah kapi sankuro karaihi. Sa ankuro karaihi. Shushubhe mega sankasha khadyotair iva parvatah. Khadyotair iva parvatah. So Hanuman was like a big cloud. Megha samkasha. Though wherever you hear in the Sanskrit the word kasha, it means resplendent or shining. So anything that is called shining or resplendent, you hear the word kasha. So akasha means that which is glowing and shining all over. Prakasha means something that is shining intensely. Or the word Kashi, the great abode of Lord Shiva, is very effulgent. It's called Kashi. So Megha Sankasha, Megha Samkasha, he was shining like a big cloud. And Hanuman was covered with Nana Kusumaihi, all the different varieties of flowers. Kirnaha means completely covered. Ankuraha, Ankura means sprouts, little shoots and buds. And so Hanuman's body appeared fully decorated with flowers and buds and sprouts, and he looked like a mountain that had a lot of fireflies on it. Khadyotaihi means fireflies. Khadyotair iva parvatah. And then when these trees fell in the water, they were like friends who were saying goodbye. They were bidding farewell to their dear one. Beyond a point, the relatives don't go. And then Hanuman, as he was flying, it says that the great ocean, because of all the trees and flowers that fell onto it, appeared like the sky filled with stars. Now, anyone living in the city may not be able to appreciate what a star filled with sky, a sky filled with stars looks like. A few months ago, we went to Zion National Park, a few of us. And so some people have gone to Gitanagari or some other forest area where there's the ambient light is not strong, so it doesn't get diffused. But we waited till sunset, and once the sky became dark, suddenly you could see so many stars that it's almost shocking that you would wonder, are there really so many stars in the sky? And we could see almost like the band of the Milky Way. So beautiful. So this ocean became filled with so many flowers, as if it looked like the night sky filled with stars. Then Hanuman, as he's flying, his arms became stretched out. And he looked like a 5-headed serpent coming out of a mountain's peak. And this is a beautiful verse, a famous one, that Hanuman, as he was gushing through, it seemed like he was going to drink away the ocean. Now, Hanuman did not jump up vertically. Hanuman jumped angular. So he says, Piban iva bhumau chapi so nirmamala maharnavam Pipasur iva chakasham, Pipasur iva cha akasham, dadrushe saha Mahakapi. It looked like this great monkey, Mahakapi, Piban iva, he was going to drink the entire ocean along with its waves. And then he says, he also seemed like one who was going to drink the sky. So you will see that the trajectory is changing. When an aeroplane has to take off, it comes on the runway, then it becomes stationary. The engines are in full throttle, and that full throttle gives the plane a very, very strong thrust. And the plane then gathers speed or velocity on the runway and then takes off. Similarly, first line of the shloka, he says, Piban iva bhumau, Piban iva babhau chapi, so anirmamala maharnavam. He was going to drink the entire ocean along with its waves. That means Hanuman is going in a horizontal trajectory. And then Pipasur iva cha akasham. And then he was going to drink the sky, which he took a vertical trajectory. So this is the way Valmiki is giving us a visual of what is happening with Hanumanji. Tasya vidyut prabhakaro. Now he's shining like Vayu Marga Surane. Nayane Viprakashete Parvastham Vinanalau. These eyes of Hanuman. Okay, his eyes started shining like two fires on a mountain. Parvastha vivan anale. Fires on a mountain. And then now we are going to hear description of Hanumanji's eyes. Pinge, pingaksha mukhasya, bruhati parimandale, chakshushi samprakashete, chandra surya vivoditauhu. Chandra surya iva uditau. As if the sun and moon had arisen. So pinge means brownish or reddish brown. Have you seen the moon when it is near the horizon? Instead of this yellow, it has this brownish or reddish glow. Even the sun, when it is rising or setting, has a reddish glow. Pinge pingaksha mukhyasya. He had a reddish or brownish eyes inside his reddish face. Brihati parimandale. In this big, round, shaped eyes. And it looked like the sun and the moon. They were glowing. You can tell a person's internal condition by looking at someone's eyes. Now, I cannot say, I don't have that skill or the way, but look at the eyes of persons who are spiritually advanced. And you can see their eyes are very, very powerful. And their glance or gaze is also very intense. Not intense like scary, but you feel the depth of a person, the gravity of the person in their eyes. If you want to see a contrast, look at the eyes of a completely intoxicated person. They seem very shallow. They don't have the glow or the intensity in their eyes. Just don't use that one thing to judge other people. This is just glorifying Hanumanji's eyes. Mukham nasikaya tasya tamram Tamra Babhau. So this face of Hanuman, which was already reddish, looked like it became even more reddish, as if the sky becomes reddish at the time of sunrise or sunset. Sandhyaya samabhisht sprushtam yatha tat surya mandalam. When the sun becomes reddish during a sandhya, either morning or night, it's called twilight time. So what we are getting is Valmiki's description of Hanumanji's form, because it is important that devotees, as we are glorifying as part of our meditation on the Supreme Lord, of course we meditate on the Nama, but we also meditate on Rupa, Guna and Leela. Just meditating on one without the others is very difficult. So all these help strengthen, and he's giving Hanumanji different names along with it. So there's a simile, so how he was shining. There is Rupa, Nama, Guna and Leela. But this Rupa Dhyana is important because it gives us not only the visual of it, but he becomes the object of our meditation. In any meditation, if we don't have the form clear or becoming clearer, then the meditation is like one of the impersonalist meditation, just no object. Our object of meditation is Sri Hanumanji. And Hanumanji in the act of the greatest expression of service to Sri Ramachandra. And then Valmiki says, Langulyam cha samavidham plavamanasya shobhate ambare vayuputrasya shakradhvaja ivochitaha. The tail of Hanuman, Langulyam cha samavidham, means the tail was raised. As Hanuman was floating or flying in the sky, his tail was raised up, nice and erect, like a pillar that was erected in the honor of Indra. Which means his tail is also, we're getting a full form of Hanumanji. Langulya chakrena mahan shukla damstro anilatmajaha vyarochat mahapragyaha pariveshiva bhaskaraha. So he says, this very, very mahan, intellectual, great person, Hanuman, with this massive, fantastic body, and Shukla Damstra, with his white teeth. He was shining like the sun. And what is the analogy? Because his tail was curved around him. His tail was like circular, so he seemed like a shining sun with white teeth. Every little detail we're getting. Then Hanumanji's back was also red colored. We see monkeys in Vrindavan. They have red color bottom. So he's saying Hanumanji's back was also shining. It looked like a mountain with deposits of this great herb called garika. And that is reddish in color. And then he's saying that as Hanuman is flying, if you noticed when someone is when an object is flying through the air or sky, because of it hitting against the wind, it makes a sound. So here he's saying, here Hanumanji's armpits made loud thundering cloud-like noises. Because of the cavity of the armpits, the air going through it, he said was thundering like a cloud. And Hanuman appeared like a meteor that was flying through the sky, especially from the northern direction. So sometimes meteors are considered inauspicious depending on the direction in which they're flying. But if they're flying in the northern direction, apparently they're very auspicious. Don't ask me anything beyond that. I'm just reading what's given by Valmiki. Then he says, Hanuman was traveling at the speed of Surya, sun god. And the tail was shining along with him, and his size became bigger and bigger. Then there's Hanuman's shadow. Now when he's flying, he's casting a shadow. And he said, when you looked at the shadow of Hanuman, it seemed like a boat that was being driven by the wind. A boat on the waves of the ocean becomes unstable. So his shadow appeared like that as he was flying. And then we're going to end with this. Yam yam desham samudrasya jagam sa mahakapihi sa tasyo uruvegena somanvad iva lakshyate. Uruvegena, again, by the power of his thighs, whichever place over the ocean Hanuman went, yam yam desham samudrasya jagama. So as Hanuman is flying over different regions of the ocean, that particular region became agitated. The waves became even more agitated because of Hanuman's presence right over that place. Sa unmada iva lakshate. Unmada means maddened. The waves became maddened as Hanuman was flying over that particular area of the ocean. And then we hear that Hanuman is very close to the ocean, because he says, as Hanuman was flying, the waves were hitting his chest. And the waves felt like massive mountains were hitting his chest, but they did not slow him down. So Hanuman sometimes is higher, is lower again, flying up again. Very interesting flight path. So we'll stop here. It's verse number 69. Each and every verse, if I stop and make it slower, we will never get through the first chapter of Sundara Kanda, which is a great blessing if we never get through. But I'm sure we all want we want to hear Hanuman landing in Lanka. We want to hear him searching for Sita Devi. We want to hear him speak to her. We want to hear what she has to say to him. We want to hear how he comes back, what he has done to Lanka. There's so much waiting. So I'm reading, and I could just narrate this to you in English, which is fine too. It'll sound like a story, and that's okay. But I also want to glorify Valmiki Muni because his language and description is by far something I could never match or imagine to even match. So that's why I slow it down with reading the verses. Sometimes I may just gloss over it. But this is the most important act of service by Hanumanji. So his flying is detailed by Valmiki. I didn't want to do disservice to it. So sometimes I can sense that it's hard for the audience to follow along, one, because you're not reading it with me, or maybe you are, and you're just relying on my reading of Sanskrit, which sometimes is, when I'm trying to speak and read it, it gets a little difficult. But yet, I'm trying to keep your attention and interest in drawing the picture out. So I hope that's okay. Any questions, comments, thoughts, reflections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is Kirti.
Yes, Kirti.
No question as such, but the description is so vivid and picturesque. It draws on the canvas of the mind. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, all of the descriptions of great personalities help in the meditation. So if we just say Hanuman flew from Mount Mahindra to Lanka, yeah, that's true. But the devotees like details because love is in the details, and it helps with the meditation. So we recite every morning, Venum Kwanantam Aravinda Dalayadaksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Ambuda Sundarangam is part, every word it helps to visualize the beautiful features of the Lord. Similarly, for devotees, because we want to be servants of the Lord, as part of our service, these finer details about Hanuman's tail that was curved this way, or it was erect like that, or sturdy like this, or his eyes were shining like the sun and the moon, the reddish hue that was there, or the thighs that were so strong, or even his buttocks were red. I mean, it's the full form of description that's required as part of any service that one takes up. And so we hear, even in the life of Srila Prabhupada, his disciples who met him will give vivid descriptions of Prabhupada's form, features, his fingers, how he was speaking. And this is all what one should take in. When one is sitting and hearing from one's spiritual master, it's important to not just hear the words, but soak in the form as well, because it's very, very, our whole philosophy is about the form of the Supreme Lord and his great associates and followers. All right, anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Am I audible, Prabhu?
Yes, you are.
Prabhu, this you're mentioning, and you went to great extent on elaborating on the form of Hanuman as given by Valmiki. There are many religions in the world where there is no detail given on the form of the Supreme Lord, and some, of course, I'm not talking about those which totally disregard the form of the Supreme Lord. But we also find some statements saying, yes, the chief acharyas of those religions, they were also trying to propagate love of Godhead. The books that are available for those religions on this date, I mean, what's available today, they have no description about God. And we do hear from Srila Prabhupada saying, yes, that's also a valid path. But it becomes tough to understand how can followers of that path who have no understanding of the Nama, the Rupa, the Guna, or the Leela of the Supreme Lord, they don't have any understanding there. How can they develop love for Godhead without knowing this? And even more intriguing is Srila Prabhupada said, yes, that's also a valid path. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Sure. Let's go to Srimad Bhagavatam for a moment, and then we'll come back to Ramayana. and then directly answer the question you raised. When Sri Narada Muni met Dhruva Maharaj and gave him Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, he just didn't tell him, now you stand here and recite this mantra. He gave him something else. He gave him a method. And part of the method was he detailed every limb, body part of the Supreme Lord Prishnagarbha for him. That he has the Srivatsa mark, he's wearing Vanamalya, shark-shaped earrings, beautiful crown, all the discrete, but wearing yellow silken garments, four-armed, holding Shankha Chakra Gada. Everything was given to him. And when Dhruva was meditating on that form in his heart, at a point that full form had manifested and then vanished. And when he opened his eyes, because that meditation broke, that exact form was standing in front of him. So form or Rupa Dhyana is very, very important. Hanuman also will describe in this Kanda for Sita Devi the entire form of the Lord. And it is fascinating the detail with which he describes Sri Ramachandra. Now, as far as other paths or religions that Prabhupada said they're also valid, my understanding of validity is that they directionally are valid. Meaning, I'm sitting here in wherever I am, and let's say we want to go to New York, and I can tell someone, yeah, head east. And that's also correct direction. But I could be even more specific, head east on I-80 or whatever the highway is. I-80. Or specific, and I can say along the path, here's what, and when you enter New York, it will say, welcome to New York. You will see the, what's that building? Empire State Building. It will look this way, it will look that way. All that is also there. Or I could tell someone head east, and then you ask someone else whether you're in New York or not. So directionally is also correct. And for those specific religions or paths that don't detail out the form of the Lord, then what keeps them directionally correct are qualities of such as being good, being kind, because these are sattva guna qualities. They send a person in the right direction. And then after a little sattva guna qualities, then we only hear about the greatness of the Lord. He's almighty, all powerful, like that. But don't hear the specific rupa yet. Because when the sun is just rising at dawn, there is light, but you don't see the sun yet. So there is a abhasa. It's the sensation of, or the indication of, but not full understanding of the form of the sun, if you will. And then Prabhupada says, even the form of the sun, there is the sun rays, the disk and actual globe. So in the sense, directionally, yes. Specifically, yet to develop. But even before the sun rises, there is light, enough enlightenment, if you will. Does that address your question, Shamakun Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Anything else? Okay. See you again next week, for the flight path to continue, there's more description coming of Hanuman flying. Hopefully, during the week, we can, as we zoom about from one situation to another, trying to serve the Supreme Lord and the great Vanaras, great personalities, Ramartham, Vanarartham, that this form of Hanumanji becomes our meditation, that he inspires us in our service, he inspires us in our sankalpa, and the intention and the ultimate determination that when we find challenges or loss of enthusiasm or diminishing of enthusiasm, just remembering his form flying through by the power of his thighs, as he said, which means there is movement, there is activity. We're also working, doing different things. And the thighs being strong means we're planted well. And if any time we find ourselves weakening, then we draw strength from these great personalities, especially Hanumanji, because we're talking about him. And it comes to both spiritual and physical strength and mental strength also. We pray to Hanumanji to give us a little tiny speck of that strength, which will be more than sufficient for us to carry on. I found it very, very helpful. Many times in a day, I find myself either physically or mentally exhausted or drained, to say, Hanumanji, please help me see all of what I'm doing as service, because if I've lost that, then please help me. And please give me a tiny fraction of your strength. Empower me with the strength. And I've found it again and again that suddenly there is a strength beyond one's own and one's own imagination. So thank you, and we'll meet again next week. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Thank you so much for